This short video will show you how to create a framework and edit statements as well as make associations in OpenSALT. So once you've logged in, you're going to first create a framework. You can name it whatever you want. The creator is typically going to be your organization or your name, depending on how that's been set up. So I'll go ahead and just put my name on there. Okay, we have various other fields you can put in here. You can put a description of the framework you're going to be making. You may go ahead and enter some subjects. Okay. You can put a language. Adoption status is going to be something like private draft if you don't really want other people to see it. Draft if you're something you're going to be working on. And adopted and deprecated are only really valuable for published frameworks. So we'll put draft for now. You can select the license, licensing Creative Commons, and we'll leave the other stuff blank there. Okay, once I've made my framework here, we got to add statements to it. The easiest way to do that in the user interface here is to say add a new child item. Okay, this full statement field is able to be fully formatted, so I can put things like rich text in there, I can put tables and images, but typically this is reserved for simply the full statement. So something like this. And then the human coding scheme is something you may want to put in there. The list enumeration in source typically refers to when you're making a document from a PDF, what list is it in the source document. Abbreviated statement is going to be used when we're making a statement and we want to be able to show it in the tree with a more, of course, abbreviated statement. So something like this maybe. And then concept keywords is something that might be used more for machine readable purposes, but it's something to add additional metadata about this particular statement in. The language, of course, same kind of thing. Education level, depending on what framework needs you have, you can select multiple statements there. Item type, something that's, for the most part, any statement automatically is just going to be kind of a regular statement. Maybe I want to call it KSAO. Notes, again, adding, this is for not so much change notes, but more notes that would help typify the statement itself. So I've made my statement. You can see that it's going to show the human coding scheme and the abbreviated statement here. But when I click on it, it'll show my full statement. If I want to add elements underneath that, I'll click Make a Parent, and then add a new child. Okay, same fields are kind of in play here. It will not automatically make a human coding scheme for you because human coding scheme is not a required case field per se. Okay. So I have at least two statements here. To make an association, I simply go here to create association, select another framework on my server. If you're going to be using an external framework, there's a different video that shows how to add an external framework. But the point is you simply drag and drop it from left to right. So notice up here it kind of says this is HA.1.1 is related to this particular statement. So this relationship will be living with this sample framework. I have my choice of associations. Related to is the most common. Exact match is typically reserved for, obviously, an exact match or derivative statement. Is part of, replaced by, precedes, skill level, and peer of. There is, again, a different video that will be in the notes here on those, what those relationships mean. So let's just say related to here. Okay. And now we've gone through, and I can click on item details. And you can see that I've made my related to statement. When I go and I want to update, mass update a framework or export it, there's a couple different ways. I can export the case JSON file, and that'll be loadable in any other case client. Or if you want to do some work to change something and then re-upload it, I can hit spreadsheet export. And what spreadsheet export does is now that you have it in a spreadsheet form, it's a little bit easier sometimes to do kind of mass changes. And what we can do here, the first tab is going to be the document element, so I can make any changes that I need to. CF item is going to be probably the most common thing here, so I can just kind of do add a bunch of information here and then update the framework. And then CF association For the most part here, won't be something we really use. It's just showing the different associations. So you can see that we made that related to statement here. And you notice that OpenSALT uses the case identifier to make these associations. So it's not like the human readable scheme per se. It's usually something more kind of machine worthy of this identifier. So as I make these statements here, I'll go ahead and just add a statement here. And I'll give it a new human coding scheme. This, and then of course my smart level will look something like this now. So the smart level kind of works like a normal hierarchy would. You would expect it to. And that just helps to create the relationships as I go up. So I'll hit save here. And then to update my framework, I'll hit update framework. My spreadsheet. There's my file. And it should take less than a minute. And there we go. I've now made my second statement there. Okay. If you have any other questions, feel free to browse the rest of the YouTube video tutorials.